Hurrah! The future of form study has arrived. That's a grand old statement, I'll admit. So let me tell you why I think it's true. And better still, why don't I show you why I think it's true? Back in the 1980s, this is how people used to bet. Form on the walls, waiting for the next indiscriminate opportunity to wager. And more than 30 years later, nothing has changed. Punters are still looking at those last 3 runs on the wall or in the Racing Post newspaper. And what can we learn from that? Next to nothing. I mean, it's hardly surprising. Bookies have space constraints on their walls, of course, but they don't exactly want winning punters, do they? Race cards are no better. Most have a mass of information all squashed together, but tell us, again, next to nothing. Now, with the advent of the internet, things have moved on. There are some very clever sites out there if you've got a doctorate in brain surgery or a lifetime to learn how to use them. Why does it have to be so difficult? Answer, it doesn't. Let me introduce you to the Race Analysis Report, a fancy name for a brilliantly simple concept. That's why we just call it the RAR. I honestly believe that the RAR might be the single most important form innovation in the last decade. Now, I know that is an extremely bold statement to make, so let me try to qualify it for you. Here's the race card that I showed you in the last video, only this time you'll notice that there are some additional tabs along the top. As well as the original card result full form filter and odds, we now have race analysis and pace analysis. You'll also notice in the main body of the screen that the previously washed out icons for head-to-head, comment and breeding comment are now available, and I'll quickly show you these. We can see, if I click the head-to-head from Monty Ridge, we can see that he's beaten Penitent, lost to Top Notch Tonto, and beaten Garswood, and we can see where each horse finished relative to each other, the going that day, the class of race, distance, course, and the date. If you want to get a quick snapshot for a whole race, just click the head-to-head button in the top menu, and you can see that Fireship hasn't run against any of today's rivals. Garswood only ran against Monty Ridge and lost to him. And what I basically do is I just look for the ones that have won more often than not, and in this case Penitent looks interesting. He's beaten the same rival 3 times and also another rival. He lost to Monty Ridge. That was on good to firm, and he still ran well in 4th. Interestingly about Penitent, is all of his best form is on softer, so I wouldn't be put off by that. Anyway, that's the head-to-head. Very, very insightful information. We can look at the Racing Post comments, which are all stored within the race cards as well for gold members, and also we've got breeding information. So we can see that, for instance, Fireship is a 5-year-old bay gelding. His sire is Firebreak, whose average progeny is 7.6 furlongs, and his dam is May's Dream out of Josser El Garoud. Well, you can read that as well as I can. This is particularly useful information when you're looking at unraced maidens or first time over jumps or for horses very early in their career. So that's that. Now, what I really wanted to show you was the race analysis report, and as I've said already, the old way of looking at things, that horrible convolution of data on a screen, which is really unhelpful, is just very time consuming and not very informative. So when we designed the geegeez race cards, we really wanted to condense that data and make it as accessible and digestible as possible. It was a really ambitious project in many ways, but as I think you'll see in a second, we've come some way in achieving that ambition. So in a race like this, where pretty much all of the runners have got 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s by their name, how do you separate the contenders from the also-rans? The answer is the race analysis report, or RAR. What the RAR does is it profiles a horse by today's race conditions. It profiles a horse's form based on its previous runs on today's going, in today's class, at today's course and distance, in today's field size, and it looks at today's rating in comparison with the horse's last winning rating and showcases the difference between the pair. Now, the nature of this report is that in an instant you can see which horses are likely to be well suited by conditions. So in the time I've been speaking and telling you what the column headings do, you've probably already figured the best horse in this race, or the best suited horse in this race, and that of course is Seabright with the long row of green. Every column is sortable, so you can sort by runs or wins or percentage. You can sort by class, whichever is of most interest to you. You can sort by win or place, performance. Everything is configurable to your tastes. Now, in this race, it's fairly clear that Seabright has got the best chance, and the others of major interest, I guess, would be Hollow Blue Sky and to a lesser degree Hawaii Class. The worry I'd have with that one is that in this grade his record is less than stellar, and at this sort of distance, well, you can see that 0 from 6 as well as I can. The long and short of it is that in this race Seabright won and Hollow Blue Sky was second, exactly how the race analysis report would have envisaged it. Seabright was a whopping 13-2, which on the basis of this information would have pleased followers, and indeed did please followers greatly. So that's the RAR, that's the race analysis report. As I say, it's a fantastic way of delving into the form to pull out the most meaningful elements of it. Clearly it works much better in races where horses have an established level of form. In unraced maiden races, or lightly raced maiden races, such as the 7:15 at Dundalk, where most of the horses have only run a few times and have never won, the race analysis report is of little use, as you can see. It doesn't really tell us anything. So the RAR is not omnipotent. It has its limitations, but with the growing number of handicap races in the UK, it's a really useful addition to your portfolio. And in actual fact, there are a lot of people who are geegeez Gold subscribers now who actually only ever use the race analysis report, and they're getting absolutely fantastic results with it. I use it every day myself. It's my first port of call. I use it in conjunction with a number of the other tools on the site, such as pace analysis, and some of the data within the race cards themselves, and I'll talk to you about those in a future video. And that, in a nutshell, is why we think that the race analysis report is such a wonderful addition to your betting portfolio. You can sign up for a free trial by clicking the link below this video. In the meantime, this is Matt Bisogno saying thanks for watching and bye for now.